morning, everybody. Hopefully everyone's having a good day so far and or will continue to have a good day. Figured I'd get to do some Aros drawing today because I do need to... I was starting to do sketches for Godsbane Chapter 2 and then I realized that I don't, not that I don't know how to draw Aros. Oh, I forgot to put it on loop. I forgot to put the music on loop, y'all. That way it's a very chill, kind of fun loop. There we go. Ah, there's always something I forget about. There's always something, isn't there? Oh my goodness. Okay, so anyway, I want to try to get really familiar with my characters, and so I've been sketching them. I've been drawing them a lot, sort of on the side. And I realized that forgetting how to draw my own characters. And I went back and I looked at some of the old Godsbane pages and I'm like, how the heck did I ever draw like that? What? This isn't fair. Why can't I draw like this anymore? I think you just my style has just evolved naturally so much. Since while I was working on Onami. Why is my thing not working? There it goes. We got it. How big is this illustration? How big is this page? I feel like this isn't big enough. Anyway, hopefully everyone's having a good day today. Let me check my image here. See what... That's why. Okay, it's just the size of a regular page. Okay, that's why it's so small. Oh, resolution. Okay, there we go. We're gonna fix that. We're gonna make that 600 because that's what I'm used to working in. Alrighty. It'll make everything a lower quality, but that's okay. We're gonna be redrawing a lot of it anyway, so I'm not super worried about it. Yeah, see how it just made everything super duper pixelated? Not bueno. That's okay. So what we're gonna do, I didn't want to have to do it this way, but we're just gonna have to completely redraw everything. It is what it is. Hey, Raccoon, what's up? Just working on main characters today. Whoops, hopes if I have a layer. Everything's in grayscale. What are you up to? Oh, maybe I just realized my mic is really low. There we go. Maybe you can hear me now. I had issues with my mic this morning. All kinds of issues with my mic this morning. That's why I'm a little late. I thought everything was working, and then can everyone should be able to hear me? I forgot it was unplugged. Let me double check. Properties. Yeah, it should be okay. Trying to come up with a story. Ah, isn't that the hard part? Isn't that the hard part? Trying to figure out what kind of story you want to tell. Well, okay, cool. My suggestion would be, if you're struggling to come up with a story, then I would first figure out what type of story do you want to tell. Are you the type of person who wants to tell something that's more thematic and teaches lessons, almost like a folklore or mythology, or something more emotional? Are you wanting to tell a story that would inspire people? Educating people, inspiring people are different things. But do you want to do something that's more inspirational, or do you want to do something that's silly and quirky and funny and strange and bizarre? That would be the first thing that I would do, is try to figure out what type of story you want to tell, and that's what I've done with Godsbane and Onami, is I've tried first to figure out what type of story I want to tell, and then from there that helps guide me through making the story itself. And I think understanding that will give you a lot more give you a more solid base as you go through the process of actually writing your story and figuring out what you want to do. What kind of harsh lessons? What is English? What kind of harsh lessons? I can't talk today. I did my Japanese homework this morning, and that involved like speaking and talking, so like my brain is all messed up right now. So like, are you wanting to do harsh lessons, as in like, you know, like just show how ugly life is, like berserk type stuff, or well, I had to write this whole essay in Japanese. Like I had to write a whole essay, so for like the first couple hours of my day, I was just like in like solid Japanese mode. We had to write a short essay. When I say essay, I mean like 2 paragraphs about our hometowns, where we're, and I chose the town that I'm originally from. So, not where I live now, but where I'm originally from. I've not seen Tokyo Ghoul, so that doesn't tell me anything. But that's good. You have an example. That's what matters. Is you have an example. So what I would do is, this might be interesting or fun. I would do research on Tokyo Ghoul. If that's the thing that like inspires you, then I would do as much research on that as possible. Like, try to understand the mangaka, what their thoughts were, like, go look into, maybe look at reviews, see what people thought about it. Look for interviews of that mangaka and get their thoughts on it. See if you can find their approach to it. If you can find an art book that talks about Tokyo Ghoul, that might be really helpful to you to sort of see, like, behind the scenes of Tokyo Ghoul, that kind of thing. Like, that's what I've done with Godsbane. So for example, one of the inspirations for Godsbane is Berserk. And so I went and I got, I mean, this is a money thing, so like I have this privilege. Like, I was able to get some of the art books for Berserk. And I've been like collecting the deluxe editions because they're bigger. And I like that. So I would definitely take some time before you start writing to do some research, and see if you can identify what about those things, that you really enjoy, so that you can use it for writing your own series. Now, I'm not saying go learn about it so you can copy it. I'm saying like try to learn what makes the series so appealing to you, and that can help you identify maybe what type of story you want to tell. I did a lot of research for Godsbane. I've been writing Godsbane kind of like off and on for like the last 14-15 years. So taking my time and doing research on it. Why am I having such trouble with the sh sound today? Spending my time and doing that kind of research has been really, really helpful for me. It's been really beneficial. I'd also look for similar manga that are similar to that one, and study those as well. Like study the demographic that you're looking for. It's important to identify that demographic as early as you can, and try to like understand them, and not necessarily like cater to them. That's definitely not what I'm trying to say. Just like understand what type of readers are like that kind of stuff. Be kind of stuck for a while. Never thought about heavily researching, so quite to get an idea. Oh yeah, like I do that all the time on my streams. That's one of the reasons why I really like streaming, is I get to like talk to other people. When I was doing Onami, for the one-shot program, I read so many one-shots by other mangaka, just to get a feel for how they approach them. Because the texture density is a little high. Because I wanted to try to understand that. So I did a lot of studying for Onami. But I also studied stories that I liked. And this is when I was creating the lore of Onami, not I mean, I did have to dumb it down for the one shot because I only had 47 pages instead of like 3 volumes. uh, and that's one reason why I'm not going to be submitting Onami to the one shot program. I don't think that I could, at least not at this moment. I don't think Godsbane would be submitted to the one-shot program. I feel like Godsbane would end up being submitted to the originals if I were to ever submit it or pitch it. My brush is acting really strange. My pen in general has been acting really strange. I wonder if it's dying. Oh, that would suck. I remember in high school I always thought about the theory of writing was stupid, but... Well, there's so many different ways to write stories, right? So, like, there's different plot structures and there's different, like, approaches you can take to writing. And so I think part of it is just identifying which one you want to take, and figuring out, like, does that work with the type of story you're trying to tell? Like, what's best for the story, not necessarily what you want. That was, I think, one of the harder lessons for me to learn when I was learning how to write, was what's best for the story versus what I want to do. Sort of like learning to, what's the phrase I'm looking for here? Willing to, like, let go and just, like, let it do its thing, rather than feeling like you have to have, like, a vice grip on everything that happens in your story. I mean, ultimately, we as the writers have that control, but is it good that we have that control? One of the biggest lessons for me in the one-shot program was, let your characters tell the story. You don't get to tell the story for them. You are merely a transcriber. Like, that was one of the bits of advice that I got, was to not force my characters to do something just because I want them to do something. Which I know seems like a duh, but when you're writing, when you're in the thick of it and you're writing something, it's really easy to be like, well, I want my character to do this, and I want my character to do that, but, like, no, like, the character does the things. They have their own agency, and you just observe and tell the people what happened. Otherwise, it can be really easy for your characters to end up acting out of character because you want the story to go a certain way. You know what I mean? So it's a delicate balance of letting your characters do their own thing, and guiding the story in a way that will still be interesting and valuable to the reader. And that's why writing is so difficult, is you have to balance those two things. And that's personal opinion. That's personal theory. Maybe I'm just crazy. I don't know. I think it's okay that you didn't take it to heart right away. I don't feel like you should beat yourself up about it. For some people, like, that approach may not work for them. You know? I wouldn't get too hung up over it. Aros was looking a little like Sailor Moon this morning. Oh yeah, absolutely. Characters should 100% drive the story. If you're driving the story, you're doing too much. but I think also part of writing is learning how to work with your characters. You know, everyone kind of has a different relationship with them. And, hey Mingo, what's up? I've had a relationship with my characters for such a long time that I feel like I know them really, really well. Like, Aros here, I've had him as a character since 2013. He's as old as some of the people that I give advice to. Oh my god. I'm just kidding. That would make people 11. No, that's not true. Okay, never mind. Never mind. I, for some reason, was thinking he was like 20 something, but it's not been that long yet. It's not been that long yet. I keep forgetting, like, my brain just, like, glitched for a second and thought that, yeah, like, 2013 was definitely 20 years ago. That is definitely not the case. What is interesting, though, is Aros and I are now the same age. I'm actually a year older than him now, which is bizarre, because when I made him, he was 10 years older than me. I was 22 when I made Aros, and he was 32. And now I'm 33, and he's 32. So, now, I understand why. I understand him a lot better now. Which is funny. Like, I think that's one of the fun things about making manga is you get to like watch your characters grow up, or like in a weird way, because they like develop as you grow up too. So like, I understand him now. It's like when you're a kid and you watch you're younger and you watch The Simpsons, you identify a lot more with Bart or Lisa, and now that I'm an adult, I identify with so many of the adults of The Simpsons. Like, I understand now why they act the way that they do. Because being an adult sucks. And then having to deal with an annoying kid like Bart or Lisa. Like, at least, yeah, Lisa can be annoying, absolutely. You know, so, like, it's fascinating. Yeah, it's definitely a full circle thing. Lisa is pretty cool, yeah. I always idolized her because I was also a musician in band. And so like I always thought she was really cool. But like now that I'm an adult, I can see why she's kind of annoying. She tries a little too hard. She's a little too peculiar. She's a little stiff. Like, you need to chill, you need to relax. Like, you know, you don't need to take life so seriously. You're a child. You're literally a child. Stop taking life so seriously. Like, please enjoy your childhood. That's kind of like how I see her. Is she works way too hard. She was me. Like, I was the student that always got really good grades. Interestingly enough, my brother was also really smart, but he struggled in school. And unfortunately, because I was the older sibling, every time, like, my teachers would get my brother, they're like, oh, well, you're so-and-so's sister. Or, sorry, you're so-and-so's brother. And he's like, yeah. And even in band, like, I excelled in band. He was in band. He did pretty good in band, too, but he wasn't, like, going out there playing 50 million different instruments. I think he only did band because my mom forced him. I don't want to say my mom forced him, she pressured him to. I'm not sure if he actually enjoyed it or not, because he was more of a sports guy, and that was the thing, my brother also did sports. Like, that was where he really excelled, but he wanted to get into wrestling, for the longest, or football, actually no, he wanted to do football. My mom never let him do football, but he ended up doing basketball and baseball and wrestling, so like, that's where he really excelled. But my mom put a lot of, well, even me, like, I wanted to play cello. That was what I wanted to play when I was starting to get into like the time where they start letting you, pick instruments. I initially wanted to go for cello. And my mom was like, no, you're gonna do flute like I did. And I don't know if it was because we already had a flute. And so, because, instruments get expensive. I don't know if, like, that was the reason. Or if it was, like, she just wanted me to be, like, a mini her. Like, I don't know what the reason was. It ended up working out because I ended up going into playing piccolo, which was definitely my strong suit. I was really good at it. When I say really good, I mean, like, honors bands and like concerts and competitions, and I was invited to play in Europe, which I didn't end up doing because I couldn't afford it. Like all this other kind of stuff. So like piccolo was what I really excelled at for whatever particular reason. It was that, and I was okay on flute, but I did better on piccolo. I don't know what the reason is behind that, but I think it was just a mindset thing. So I kind of think about describing the character with two aspects, like a terminally ill high schooler and a recluse comic artist. I don't know what you mean. Like with two aspects, you mean like terminally ill high schooler being two different ones? Like is that what you mean? I feel like you shouldn't limit your character to only two aspects. What are you describing them for? For yourself? For other people? For a pitch? What are you describing them for? Because I think that matters a lot. That definitely will make a difference. Because you want to, anytime you're pitching something or you're catering something to a specific group to like either get their approval or get them interested, you always have to consider like who you're doing this for or who you're pitching to, that kind of stuff. Wait, is the swirl on the top or the bottom? I think it's on the top. I don't know why I put it on the bottom in this particular illustration. To my knowledge, it's always been on the top. Yeah, it's on the top. I don't know why I put it on the bottom. Oh well. Wait, why is it so high? Here's his ear. Here's where it connects. Oh, this is too low. I can't draw yours, you guys. I never have been. I've never been able to draw yours. Do you work in monochrome or gray? I personally... Hey, Opal, what's up? I personally work in monochrome exclusively. And that's two reasons. One, I prefer it makes it look a little bit grittier, like naturally. And I really like that. And two, the brush that I use only works on monochrome. If I put it in gray, the brush doesn't function like it should. So I work exclusively in monochrome. I'll actually show you what the brush does when I use it on a gray layer or a color. Just to kind of show you what it does. Like, that's what it does. It doesn't do anything. But as soon as I put it on a monochrome layer, this is what I get. So, yeah. So, I personally work exclusively on monochrome. Except for like tone layers. If I know something's gonna be like digital, for example, like Godsbane's gonna be digital, and it's gonna be posted online. For the tone layers, I'll make those layers gray. But as far as like for inking and drawing, I use exclusively monochrome. Let's see. I think about I catch up on the chat here real quick. How would you come up with characters? Well, like I said, it depends on what you're doing. if you're creating them for a pitch, then you need to follow the pitch guidelines. I personally try to get to know my characters, like, to the point that they're not strangers. To the point where, like, if I want to be able to recommend them a book, or make them dinner, or, like, I treat my characters like people. Like, I want to know everything. Take Aros. Okay, so here's Aros, for example. Aros is a tea snob. He is very particular about his tea. He's very particular about his food. I mean, he will eat anything because he doesn't want to hurt people's feelings, but he's very judgmental about things like that. He's also, like, like, if I were to categorize him, he would be, like, the lawful neutral type. He could be your very best friend if you, like, want him to be your very best friend and you treat him well. But if you treat him like crap or you betray him in any way, he will get back at you, but he will do it in a lawful way so that he does not get in trouble. So, like, he is that type of person. He will get back at you. One of the things that Aros keeps from his parents is his mother's tea sets, because his mother is the reason why he became a healer in the first place. Both of his parents are gone. One of them he murdered himself, and his other family members never talk to him, but he thinks that that's for the best because he's also the village doctor, so he doesn't want to be biased. So he thinks it's good that his family, like, the rest of his family ostracizes him and doesn't talk to him and basically, like, shuns him and pretends that they're not family at all. So, like, he has a lot of family within this village, but none of them talk to him. So, which is kind of interesting, but he's not bothered by it at all. One of the things that he likes to collect are shells, and he likes to make jewelry of them, which is why he has a lot of, like, shell-based jewelry on. So, like, I feel like when you create characters, like, creating them as deep as you feel like they need to go is great. Aros was originally just a minion character, and I didn't like need him for anything. All right, so he was very shallow when I initially made him. He has fears. He's claustrophobic. He's very claustrophobic. And so, like, I like to purposely put him in situations where he has to deal with that. Because I want that to be a thing. Like, that's one of his weaknesses, I guess, is that he's very claustrophobic. And so when I work with my characters, I don't make them, like, just two-dimensional things. So, like, if, like, using your examples, a terminally ill high schooler, that tells me nothing about the high schooler. That tells me, like, something that has happened to them. Who that person is doesn't tell me anything. So, for example, when you have a, let's use demographics as an example. There are two types of things you have to think about when you're thinking about demographics, which is normally used for your audience. You have what are called, well, the demographics, right? I'm gonna write this out here. I'm gonna hide this really quick so I can have the whole space to write here. So you have demographics, and then you have what are called psychographics, if I can spell today. Alright, so your demographics are more like how you relate to society as a whole. So, like, what is your race? What is your ethnicity? What is your, I guess technically, like, gender counts. As well as things like your income. What type of job do you have? What are your politics? Sometimes. So, like, politics technically falls into both categories. Politics. Oops, we'll get into psychographics in a minute. So stuff like this is like the what of a person, and how you relate to society. Like, how do you relate to the greater whole of society? Oh, I'm getting into the boring stuff. People are leaving. Sorry, guys. The psychographics is more like who you are as an individual. And so I take the same approach to my characters, right? So, like, who am I, like, as far as, like, compared to society, right? Like, I'm a white person. Like, I'm a white female, technically. Like, I'm going off my sex here. I'm a white female. My income is, like, lower middle class. As far as, like, compared to, like, the average. If you look at the general average of society. Like, my job is I work in community management, so I work with a lot of people. I also draw and stuff, so, and I'm not getting into my politics. It's not what I'm here for. But, like, that's that. And then who, as an individual, when you get into psychographics, it can be things like politics, but also like what are your values, what's important to you. For me, it's stuff like the environment and making sure LGBTQ people are recognized and safe, that kind of stuff. Well, what are my hobbies? A lot of people don't know this, but I like to collect pocket watches. It's a really weird, specific thing. I also collect coins. So, I'm a numismatist as well. And I also like plants. So, like I like to garden. I've always had a huge garden, and now that I have a new apartment with a deck, I'm gonna make a new huge garden. I'm so excited about it. So like politics, dreams and goals. Those types of things make up an individual. And so if you only focus on like the larger picture, like the what of a person, then you're only going to have a very shallow view of that particular character. Learning how to handle the bigger picture of the character, including the nitty-gritty details of like who they are, what are their values, what are their hobbies, what are their dreams, their goals, their fears, that type of thing. What motivates that person? Motivations is like another really good one here. Motivations, which I guess kind of goes into goals. But like that type of stuff is really, really helpful when developing characters. And so that would be stuff that I would encourage. And like, you don't have to do this for every single character, but when you break down this type of stuff for your characters, it can be really, really helpful. No, it's okay. I'm going to be going back to drawing. But I hope that was kind of helpful. You can always watch this back. VOD is going to be available, so you can always watch it again later. You're welcome. Glad I could help. I know stuff like that can be kind of overwhelming, so I try to be helpful. And again, that's just personal theory. Like, that's just how I approach it. Anyone is free to, like, disagree or do it a different way. But I feel like stuff like that's always important to focus on. I mean, characters are, you know, generally living things, and so they have their own thoughts and opinions and goals. And I mean, it depends, you know, on the person. You know, something like, or someone like Data, for example, is a little bit different, where it's part of his character and part of his character arc that he learns, like what being human is. So like, he may not have a fully fleshed out character initially because he's built to not have a developed personality on his own. Like, he's built to do specific things. So, like, if you guys don't know who Data is, then I'm sorry. My dad's a huge Trekkie, so... I'll have a favorite types of art, along with genre music. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, stuff like that is a great way to develop your character. Also develop like a fashion sense for them. Like with Aros, he likes flowy clothes, like really loose and flowy stuff. But he also likes stuff that will dry pretty quickly. Because I mean, he works with water, like he uses water magic, so like, he's not gonna dress in stuff that's gonna take a really long time to dry, or like become really like cumbersome if he gets wet. You know what I mean? That's one reason why he wears sandals. He, because you know he doesn't, you know, he likes to air dry. You know, and I figured, hey, someone who likes water probably likes the ocean. So maybe he likes wearing shell and jewelry, like types, like that kind of stuff. But I also try to make like his design in general reflect that. So like, you can't see it from this view, but his ponytail always has two things on the end, like a fishtail. Kind of like a fun little design quirk. That usually when you see Aros, you'll see him with like the two, like the split tail on the end. And that's on purpose. He doesn't do that, but like I do that as like a fun thing. It's like, be silly with your designs and stuff. You know, adding fun things like that are really cool, I think. Suddenly forgot how to draw braids. There we go. Oh, yeah, that's a really good idea. Design, like, think about what their bedroom would look like. That's a really good idea. I mean, for Aros, it doesn't really matter too much because his hair is black, and I just end up filling it all in anyway, so I'm not gonna get too obsessed about it. Alright, how did I do? Right, that was level with his eyebrows, okay. Oh yes, this is way too high. That's why it looks weird, it's too high. Oh, that's cool. Aros subconsciously, sort of like, I don't want to say dresses like Fale. He slightly mirrors her appearance, because he misses her. He didn't used to look like this. His hair used to be a lot shorter, and he didn't have like the braids out in front. It's a subconscious thing for him, I think, because he misses her. In a weird way, he kind of emulates her a little bit. So younger Aros looks very different. So if you guys don't know Aros, Aros was working with a friend of his on a solution to sort of like banish a god of the dead who is a nuisance, to put it lightly. And he, let's see, let me find that page really quick. Godsbane exports chapter 1. It might be in the old version. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, it would be in the old. Well, okay, here's younger Aros. Here we go. So this is younger Aros. I'll put them next to each other so we can compare them. So this is like slightly younger Aros. This is like 6 years ago. So he looks very different. I mean, he still had the long hair, but he usually kept it pulled back, or he would like keep it up in a bun. He did that a lot. He had like the sort of like man bun look going on for a really long time. And Fale, like, let me get a picture of her really quick, because I don't think I have one like immediately on hand. I can go grab it though. I can grab it from my pilot, so you guys. And her look has changed just slightly in the redo, but this will give you a good idea of what she looks like. Mobile copy image. File. So here's what Fale roughly looks like now. So you can kind of see how he's like slightly emulating her. She also has long hair in the back. Aros has long hair. Autosave. Aros has sort of like the two in the front and then the back. But he used to look like this. So he's like subconsciously doing this. But that's sort of like a weird quirk. People were like, why do Aros and Fale look alike? And I'm like, because he's emulating her without meaning to. But he is. Because she passed away and he misses her. So that's sort of like a fun little bit of trivia for like my characters and stuff. So when you're developing your characters, think about stuff like that too. Especially if they're your main characters. Like you want to make sure that they feel like actual people. Because ultimately, like, one of the things that's really important is you want to get you want your readers to sort of like to relate or like attach themselves sort of like parasocially to your characters in a way. Like you don't want them to become like obsessed to the point that like they tattoo your characters' names on their body or something. That's intentionally very ridiculous. But it's good to sort of consider like you want your readers to like connect to your characters, and in order to do that, you have to like make your characters people that people can relate to. And I use the term people loosely because characters don't have to be people. You know what I mean? Hey, thank you, Daniel. I appreciate it. Yeah, that released on the 7th. So that released 2 weeks ago. I can't believe it's been 2 weeks. Doesn't feel real yet. After all this time, it still doesn't feel real yet. So, I was working on a poster last couple days. So I'm gonna take a break from that and do some Godsbane stuff because I gotta get back to Godsbane. But thank you. I'm very, very happy with it. I have a couple things that I probably would have changed if I could like go back and do it again. But such is life. Isn't that the way we always are? How have you been? Ooh, what did I do here? I messed this up. Let's see here. Let's see. Same old putting out a folk horror anthology. That sounds fun. Hell yeah. I would love to do an anthology someday. I'm actually thinking of putting one together as an indie manga magazine. I've always loved anthologies, and not as like a serialization, like not trying to be like the next Jump. I have a completely different idea that I would really love to test out and see what people think. Because I don't want to be another like Jump. I don't want to say Jump wannabe. I don't think so. So when I was in college, we had this comic that we did called a Meanwhile comic. And what was really cool about it is each person got 2 pages. So basically, like, you got a 2-page spread, and then at the bottom right of the 2-page, like the last panel of the 2-page spread, it said Meanwhile. And then when you flipped it, it was a different comic, and you had a 2-page spread, and when you got to the bottom of that, it said Meanwhile. So basically, it was more of a sampler than, like a full, like, rather than, like, full chapters. And I really, really loved that. And, because it was a really great way to sort of, like, highlight your best pages. I see so many people when I go to cons, and I get to meet publishers and like all kinds of people naturally because of my job. And I would really, really love to have a book like that to be able to take around to like publishers and other people that I meet with and like other creators, and be like, hey, like here are some really cool artists that I know, like here's a book that's a sample of everyone's work. Maybe you would like it. Maybe you can find more creators to follow. Or maybe if you're looking for a project, like, oh, here's this book of a bunch of manga creators that I know. You can now flip through their style and see if anyone works for a project that you're working on. Or if you like this particular story, go check it out on their social media. I loved the idea of a sampler. And I thought it would be really, really cool to, like, have a sampler book. So, like, because some people do right to left, some people do left to right. The book would open from both ends. The left to right would read left to right. The right to left would read right to left. And then in the center, I thought it would be really cool to have things like interviews or tutorials or like maybe, I don't know, like fan art or like an illustration, like maybe like a special, like a challenge or something. Or just articles, news, anything interesting. Just something to fill the center with. That way, like, after you read, like, you still have other fun stuff to read. And I thought it would be a really, really fun project. Like, I've already got a name for it. I'm already trying to, like, figure out how I want to put this together. Like, the only thing that I don't know is, do I want to do it annually? Do I want to do it, like, every 6 months? Do I want to do it quarterly? Like, how many pages do I want to give each person? I'm thinking 4. Rather than just 2. That way, if we get 25 people, that's 100 pages. That'll give me 100 pages for, for that, and then that'll give me 100 other pages to do whatever with. That way, this, and that's a pretty hefty book already, so, like, maybe I could do, like, another, like, 20, 50 pages of, like, interviews or, other stuff like that. So, I'm thinking it would be kind of cool, to try to see, like how that might work. It'd be really hard because I don't know like what the ratio of right to left or left to right creators is. I don't know if there's like if it like leans heavily in one way. And I don't know I don't know a lot about actually getting things printed. I've only done it once or twice myself. But I would really love to do that. But it would be not a serialization at all. I don't want to do serialized stuff because one, that means rights and shit. I don't want to do that. I don't want the responsibility of having to be like, hey, I'm telling you, make sure you get your story into me on X deadline, da 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 da. I don't want that. I want this to be a sampler. I want this to be something that people like Imagine FX, but for like sampling manga, like or like reading tutorials or reading interviews, or maybe like a special sketchbook section where people can submit their sketches so we can let people see that sketches can be a wide variety of things, or like you know, digital, traditional, it doesn't matter. I just want your stuff to look good. Like, there will be an editorial selection process, because I want good work in there. Like, not just anyone can get in, but I want to, like, have this be, like, a magazine that people can be happy to be a part of, and then, like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want the burden of being, like, a Shonen Jump or something. I don't want to do that. And I think also that creates a really heavy air of like toxic competition, toxic types of competition, and I'm not for that kind of shit. I'm not gonna participate in that. I just want a fun magazine. I don't know what you mean by if writers and teams and stuff could be included, because again, it's not about serialization. We're not serializing anybody, and each person can only submit once each year. Like, you get once, maybe. I'm thinking either once or twice. It will depend on how often I do it. If I do it quarterly, it'll be like once every 6 months. So, like, I would split the year into, like, first half of the year and second half of the year. You can only be in, like, one of them. Like, either like fall or spring, or either it's winter or spring, or summer and fall. Like, you only be in, like, yeah, of course. Why would I limit it to only people who do everything? That's silly. Of course. I don't care how people get their stuff done. I just care that it looks good. And I care that they're a nice person. If people are bad people, I'm not gonna let them in my magazine. You know? Like, so, like, there are a few people I will outright deny for the magazine. I don't care who you are. So, like, I will, not that I don't care who you are, like if I don't like you, you're not getting in the magazine, period. I'm the editor, like, I can do what I want. But I will do my best to put my bias aside, but no promises. But yeah, like, I wanted it to be, like, more of a fun magazine that is more like, hey, like, I want to be able to show off my work, versus, oh my god, I'm gonna get serialized and make money. Because, like, once you start putting money and stuff in, like, that changes people, right? That changes people. I don't want no part of that. I don't know why I'm drawing this. Oh, that's right. He's barefoot this time. I forgot for this particular illustration, he's barefoot. I don't know how to draw feet, you guys. What are feet? This is a bad habit of mine. I tend to hop around in my illustrations. It's a really bad habit. I'll draw all this stuff in, and then I'll add it in the shells later. Well, I mean, manga by nature in Japan is competitive. Like, that is really not anything it's not really something you can deny, is that, like, it's by nature competitive. Especially when you're like, well, I want to be able to stay in the magazine. Like, they rank you for a reason. Like, they rank the titles for a reason. If a title is ranking consistently low, then they're gonna axe it, because it's a business decision, it's not personal. So, like, in that way, like, manga is by nature competitive. Like, I'm not gonna deny that. However, you can choose how that fact affects you. So, like, I personally am not a competitive person. I used to be extremely competitive, but I'm not anymore. I don't care. I don't care about it anymore. Like, I'm here to have fun and like, make cool manga and like chat with cool people. That's what I'm here for. And if people want to, like, for lack of a better way of putting it, I don't know how to put this, like, if people want to use me as a bar that they want to beat because they want to be competitive, go for it. I don't care. Like, have fun. But I will not reciprocate that. That's kind of my thing. My stance on that is, like, if you want to use me as a bar to beat, you please do that. I'm happy that what I'm doing motivates you to become better. Like, cool. That's amazing. I'm honored. However, I'm not going to reciprocate that. Like, I'm not going to utilize XYZ person or people to say, I'm gonna be better than you, or I need to catch up to you. Like, I don't do do comparison stuff. Because for me, that ruins the fun of everything. Because, like, I'm here to make manga for fun. I don't care that XYZ person draws better than me. I don't care that XYZ person has, like, been published more times than me. I don't care that XYZ person has more followers than me or makes more money than me. I literally do not care. Because I'm not in this to be the GOAT. You know, like, I'm here to have fun and tell good stories. That's the only reason I'm here. If I get published, that's a bonus. Like, even with Viz, like I went into the portfolio review that ended up getting Miso, stop it, honey. Sorry, my cat's bothering me. I went into the portfolio review with Hisashi-san that got me into the Viz one-shot program as I don't want to say as a joke, but I wasn't intending to get picked up by Viz when I went in. I just wanted the feedback. Like, I thought that my work would never be good enough for them. Like, I thought that they would never be interested in my work. And, like, I was still gonna pitch anyway, because I wanted the feedback. I wanted the chance to grow. That was the only reason I went, to be completely honest. And I ended up getting picked up. So, like, that's how that like exemplifies how I approach stuff. Like, I wasn't trying to get picked up or anything. I just wanted the feedback. Like, did I plan to submit? Yeah, but not yet. not that moment. So, like, yeah, I don't know. Just me, I guess. There's a time and place, and that for me was not the time or place. Now, do I want serialization? Yeah, that would be super dope. But if I don't get it, am I gonna be mad if like another mangaka gets it? Like, let's say DD Mark gets serialization and I don't. Am I gonna be mad at him? No. Like, his work was clearly, like, more, like, it would have, like, if that was the case, like, his work resonated with people more. So that means, I need to study what he did so that I can get that too. But it's not because, oh, I want to beat DD Mark. It's like, oh, I need to figure out what he's doing right that I'm not doing right. So I see it as, like, a chance to learn rather than, oh, I need to keep up with him. You know, because I want serialization. So, it's not like in the nature of competition, it's just I want to be better than I was yesterday. The only person I compete with is me. And that's not because I see, like, other people as threats or I see that I'm better than other people. Because I'm not better than other people. I just want to be better than I was yesterday. That's it. That's the only reason. The only person I compete with is me. Because if I beat me every day, then that means I'm constantly improving. You know, I feel like a lot of people would... Exactly. Self-improvement over competition. I want to be better than I was the day before. That's all I want. That's all I want. I do not give a damn if XYZ person has more accomplishments than me. Like, congrats. You know, for example, like, Inupen. Inupen announced on his, Instagram yesterday that he got picked up by Viz. Congratulations. Like, I was in his DMs congratulating him because I'm proud of him. Like, that's really super freaking cool, and that's a big accomplishment. Like, to get into the program, he's not, like, published yet, but to, like, get into the program is really tough. Like, congratulations. Like, I don't care that he is basically pro at this point. Like, that doesn't affect me. That doesn't affect how I see him. Like, he's just another creator, and, like, congratulations. Oh, yeah, I've heard of Odie. It's been a long time since I've heard that name, though. And Kusanagi gets a lot of crap, too, because people are like, oh my god, like, he moved to Japan and, like, he's not doing anything now. And I'm like, one, he may be working on stuff that you just can't know about. I had a lot of people just asking me, not rudely, but just asking me, like, what are you doing? I don't see you posting Godsbane anymore. And did you give up on Godsbane? Like, people thought I gave up on Godsbane because I wasn't posting it anymore. I wasn't talking about it. But I couldn't tell them what I was really working on. I mean, people knew I was working with Viz at the moment, but people didn't know to what extent. Kusanagi is a creator that ended up getting, like, they won a contest and they moved to Japan. And started doing, like, serialization in Japan, but now they focus more as, like a... They're more of, like, a lifestyle content creator, and they do gaming more. And my theory is, if he's working on manga, he may not be able to talk about the manga that he's working on, you know, for contract reasons. So he's going to need something else for his YouTube channel. So that would, for me, it makes sense, because I've been there. Like, I had to stop talking about Onami when I realized that I was going to get published. I had to stop talking about it. Like, once I was in the program and in the deep of it, I stopped talking about what I was working on. Like, Miso, stop, honey. My cat is really bugging me today. What is up, baby? She just wants attention. She's in my lap right now, and she's, like, pawing at me, trying to get me to pet her. I need to go soon, though, because I do need to get to work. But a lot of people were giving him flack because, oh, well, he's not doing this anymore. I'm like, he is working on stuff. You just don't see him working on stuff as much. So just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. You know what I mean? So, like, a lot of times you can't share what you're working on when you're working in publishing. Or being published and that kind of stuff. Sometimes you can hint at it, sometimes you can talk about it, but not necessarily always. That's not always the case. I wasn't explicitly told to not tell people, but that's, I mean, kind of implied. I mean, like, kind of implied, hey, don't go telling people that you're going to get published. And so I didn't. Like, I found out that I was going to get published, like, I found out I was officially going to get published back in April. So, like, I knew at the very end of April, oh my gosh, I'm going to get published. And I couldn't tell anyone until Viz told everybody. So, like, which was in August. So, like, for a couple months, I stopped talking to people, I vanished, I went and, like, did my own thing, like, I was a recluse, because I was focused on getting my one-shot done. Like, I stopped doing all other kinds of artwork. I mean, I still talked on social media because, one, that's my job. So, like, I still was promoting Godsbane. I was still talking about stuff, but I wasn't, like, actively drawing other things. I was definitely not streaming anymore. I was busy working on my stuff, but I couldn't tell people why I was away, necessarily. So, just because people aren't actively doing things or showing what they're working on doesn't mean that there's nothing going on behind the scenes in publishing. Wow, we got a lot of people in here all of a sudden. I'm so sorry, you guys. I actually have to get going. I have to work in I have to go to my job in 3 minutes. But here's what I worked on. I need to get to my day job. So thank you all so much for coming. I appreciate it. If you could, leave a like. That way, you know, helps the algorithm. If you want to see more streams, I'll be doing these every morning. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take it easy. Have a wonderful day. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. So sorry to cut it off, guys. I gotta go to work. Bye.